Hey everyone. So I just watched a video on another YouTube channel about a man who infected hundreds of people with HIV. And watching that video, it just got me to thinking about the trust factor. You know, why are people still so trusting in this day and age? I mean, HIV has been in circulation now over 31 years, maybe even longer than that. And I just don't understand why people are so lax about using protection, using condoms, even getting to know the person first. Personally, before I got married, and even, let's just even go beyond that, before we were sexually involved, I told him that we would have to both be HIV tested at the same time. There was no way that I was going to have sex with a man, even though we had quote unquote known each other for, almost a month. There was no way that I was going to have sex with him without first confirming that he was HIV negative. And so that's why I'm always amazed when I see women on television or I read in the paper that some woman is upset that she's now HIV positive. Because in the back of my head, as I'm shouting at the television screen, why didn't you go and get tested, you dumb bleep? I mean, seriously, how can you not think of that first? Is the guy just so hot that you can't wait a day, or sometimes it takes up to 2 weeks to get tested? I haven't met him yet. I haven't met him. And I've seen some fine ones, but nothing so amazing, so alluring that I'm willing to risk my health for a few minutes of pleasure. Anyways, I have about 4 or 5 different stories that I want to share with you guys. There's one with a white man, one with a woman, one with a gay man, and 2 with 2 black men. And there may be one with a black woman. Well, actually, I will just share this story with you because I know this story personally. So I'll share how the black woman was infected. But I want to start with this David Dean Smith. He's the latest guy in the news who has intentionally infected women with HIV.
Health alert in West Michigan. Charges have come down against this man who police say intentionally spread HIV to kill people and claims he's infected thousands. 24-hour News 8's Leon Hendricks starts our team coverage. He's been working this story since we were tipped off by an anonymous reported tipster. He's live at the Grand Rapids Police Department where they are searching for more potential victims. Leon?
Mark, good evening to you. Police got on this case because the suspect himself came right down here to the Grand Rapids Police Department and told them that he had sex with thousands of people and did not tell them that he had the AIDS virus. His name is David Smith. He's now 51 years old. He was arrested on Christmas Eve. That's days after he came forward. Now, there's no word on exactly how many people may be infected here. That's why police are going public with the case in hopes that others who may have gotten the HIV virus from Smith can come forward. Now, police have identified and are aware of at least one victim. Tonight at 6, she's sharing her story with 24-hour News 8. Here now is a bit of what she had to say.
When they diagnosed me, I said, I just have one question, because they shoved Kleenex at me, and I'm like, I'm not sad, I'm really angry. And I just said, is there life after HIV?
Her only question was, is there life after HIV? Yes, of course there is. But what kind of life is that? My mother died of AIDS. She died of AIDS in 1998. And I just remember her having to take 70 different pills. That's 70. And that was very difficult for her. It would be difficult for anybody. Now, I don't know if the dosage or the amount of pills that you have to take now has been condensed to maybe 4 or 5 different pills. I mean, because that was over 10 years ago. But the bottom line is, you really don't want to be on a long-term basis with any kind of medication, especially when it's so preventable. And when I say it's so preventable, I mean very easily you could insist on using a condom. Very easily you could say, I'm not going to do this until we are both tested. Very easily you could say, I'm not going to do this, I don't feel comfortable doing this until we are both tested. And if the person is not open to that, or they feel uncomfortable with that, then you know that that's not the person for you. Unless, of course, you don't care about living, or you don't care about living a healthy existence. Then you take your chances. But me personally, there's so many other issues that I have to deal with. I just would not want this to be another one. I remember my mom being very sick at the end. She had started losing hair. And I just remember being very sad looking at her. Because this was somebody that was really, I mean, this was a street person. This was not like, you know, I don't think she'd ever worked in an office. So this was not like somebody who, you know, was Mary Homemaker. No, this was like somebody who ran the streets. You know, she ran with dudes. She didn't run with females normally. She was just very tough. She was involved in the Black Panther movement early on. And then when she stopped running with the Panthers, she started running with thugs, you know, drug dealers, big money movers, big money makers. So she, you know, she was the type of person that growing up, they had nicknamed her Muhammad after Ali, because that's how much she fought. So this was, you know, I'm just trying to paint a picture of somebody so that you guys understand. This was not some weak person. My mother was the type of person that was just always strong, was just always tough. And you kind of, or at least we did as children, we just looked at her as somebody that couldn't be destroyed. She was unpenetrable. You couldn't penetrate her armor. You couldn't penetrate her aura. And so to watch that disease take total control of her, it was heartbreaking. It was extremely heartbreaking. And I think that if more people saw the effects, the downward spiral that disease will put you in, I truly believe that more people would think twice about having sex with someone without using a condom, no matter what they look like. The next story I'm going to do is going to talk about a man in Australia who, for all intents and purposes, looks like somebody that almost any woman would want to have sex with. Here's the story.
Police and health officials are trying to track down 12 women thought to have been infected by an HIV-positive circus performer. 31-year-old Godfrey Zaburoni was extradited to the Gold Coast from Sydney this afternoon. He's given authorities the names of women he's had unprotected sex with since 1997.
Here's another story. A guy named Stephen Paul Boone, HIV-positive gay Canadian man who authorities named and identified in public reports as a sexually transmitting hazard to your health. He's been charged with attempted murder. Boone was arrested in May after an 18-year-old man said he contracted an infectious disease after having unprotected sex multiple times with Boone, whom he met online. This story coming out of Brooklyn. Newshawn Williams is a Brooklyn man believed to have knowingly infected a number of young women and girls in upstate New York with HIV. He is being criminally charged. Health officials say Mr. Williams was informed of his HIV status in 1996, but 3 years later, in a television interview, he expressed denial about his HIV status, saying, "Yeah, I gave them a death sentence, but it wasn't knowingly." You can never be too careful. There are people out there that do not know that they have it, but there are also people out there that are knowingly spreading this disease. Like, for example, this story coming out of Mumbai. A thirst for avenging her fate, coupled with an abnormally high desire for sex, has led a 28-year-old HIV-positive woman to put more than 300 men at risk of contracting the HIV virus. The woman got infected by her promiscuous husband in 2005 through no fault of her own, and has told her doctor that infecting other people is her way of taking revenge. The list of her partners include her employers, relatives, friends, liftmen, taxi drivers, and even students. I can't stress enough how important it is to protect yourself. I cannot stress enough how important it is to just always be conscious of your partner's behavior. I know of a woman who was married at the time that she was HIV infected. She has since passed away. Her husband infected her, and she had a child that was also infected with the disease. The child died. I think it was a year after birth that it died. The father died prior to the child dying, and then the mother died. So a whole family was wiped out, all because she trusted her husband to be monogamous and to protect her health as he would his own. There's a national HIV website, www.hivtest.org. All you have to do is put in your zip code, and they will tell you where the nearest testing site is. So before you decide to have sex again, either with somebody that you've already been having sex with or with a new partner, make sure that you get tested for HIV first. As much as I didn't like, I would even venture to say, hated my mother's ways, it still hurt me deeply to watch her suffering like that, especially because I knew that it was so avoidable. It didn't have to end that way.